Good evening and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. I'm JP, and joining me this evening this Friday night is my good man, Mr. Alan Stirling, and Mr. Barry McCandless. Well, Baz, it's good to see yourself, mate. We've not seen you on here for a wee bit. Hope you're well, mate, and hope you're looking forward to the chat.
Evening, JP. Great to be on as always. Good to see you, Alan. Looking forward to the chat, boys.
Yep. And Alan, how are you, mate, since the last time I spoke with you?
Very well. Evening, everyone. Good to have you on, Barry. To see your lovely, radiant face as usual. Yes, indeed. So, yeah, it's been a quiet week. And looking forward to the game on Sunday. So, a massive game. And to do with our season, if we aim to kind of complete a treble, well, this is probably one of the toughest tests of that, completing that treble, because we're playing an informed Hibs side that have really lost for, I think it's 15, 16 games or such. And it's a one-off cup game as well. We're well ahead in the league, but we want to kind of finish it off with a treble and a Scottish Cup. So I think it's imperative that we put in a good performance, because Hibs will be no mugs, as we've seen a couple of weeks ago. And I'm confident we'll get through to the next round. So
you're on mute, JP.
Just can't get the staff these days, can't we know, boys? It's not whatever it were. Well, they're
just testing us.
Self-employed.
That's I do apologise first and foremost, because I had a wee problem with my Wi-Fi. My connection wasn't the best, and I had to go and footer about with it. Glad I got it sorted now. Seems to be the electronics stuff these days, Baz. It just doesn't seem to want to settle for me at all, mate. But as Alan says, it is Scottish Cup weekend, mate. Big quarter-final game at Paradise awaits for Celtic. Yeah, looking forward to it, mate.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be a test. You know, it's going to be a challenging game, as Alan rightly says. They're on a fantastic run of form. The feel-good factor around that club right now is tangible. I don't know if you saw the scenes after the derby. You know, the more singing the song, middle of the pitch, the fans all together. That's what type of football club Hibs can be. You know, you see their potential in moments like that. And I believe they're bringing quite a bunch to Celtic Park on Sunday. I think 6,000 or 7,000 fans. 7,000 fans. I mean, this is going to be a proper cup match. And also, they got one over us recently as well, didn't they? Albeit, in my opinion, you know, that was circumstantial. We were off the back of a massive European game, had played a lot of football in the build-up to that. And also, you know, we were, could we use the word unfortunate not to get that goal? A certain decision, Alan, yeah. We've heard the comms on that now, so, you know, that should have been a goal. But, listen, there's no point in getting over it. It's done now. The bottom line is, it is going to be a challenge. It's going to be a difficult game. We have had a week to prepare on the training field, and I would imagine those players are going to be hungry for a treble. And it's been mentioned many times on this podcast, and probably on every other Celtic podcast, Brendan Rodgers loves a treble. He loves it. So he'll be gunning for this one.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And I'm pretty sure this time around, Barry, I don't know if you'll agree, that we'll be able to kind of... We played kind of European games in between that Hibs game. So you're looking at... We'll be able to kind of field as strong a team as possible. And you're looking at, would that be with Jota? Would that be with Maida? But I think we can't take for granted these kind of games. I think, as you say, Hibs are going to give us a massive challenge. You've seen that a couple of weeks ago. And I think we need to get in here kind of full strength and make sure that we're fully prepared for anything that kind of Hibs can throw against us, because being at Celtic Park obviously it makes a difference. You know that yourself with the fans, but as you say as well about the away fans getting in it's going to be a great cup atmosphere as well. So yeah, looking forward to it, and it'll be interesting to see if we do go full strength. What's your thoughts on the matter? Will we be going kind of full strength in this game?
Undoubtedly, I don't think there's any question of using the squad here or trying to be overly clever. I think Brendan will keep it nice and simple, plays best 11, which I'll put this back to you in a wee second, Alan, but at this moment in time, as much as I love Adamida, and I'm a big fan, I've supported him all the while, but our strongest team at the moment is Dyson Maeda through the middle, in my opinion. Jota to the left and Kuhn to the right. And that's what I believe he'll go with for this game. Because at the end of the day, I know they always say your next game's the biggest. That's not always applicable, right? Because we've had such a healthy lead in the league that some of our games have had less importance, right? But this game, it's a cup game. It is the last part of a treble. So, strongest 11, right at it from the start. I expect Celtic to come out the traps like that. I think, again, it's one of these ones like Hibs beating us that few weeks back might be a blessing in disguise because it sharpens everybody's senses. We know Hibs are capable of playing well. We know they're capable of harming us. We know they're coming full of confidence. So that actually might be the downfall in the end because, as I say, I think Celtic, right for the word go, first whistle, will probably be pressing, really hungry, on the front foot, and looking to do some serious damage. But is that your opinion? Do you think Maeda will play through the middle too?
I do indeed, Barry. I'll try and Drype's back just now. I'll just answer that, then Drype will come back. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
No bother. You can't get staff these days, know what I mean? So
I'm having all sorts of technical problems. I hope this is the end of it now.
Oh, we understand. I definitely think that Maeda playing up front was Brendan's kind of plan B, shall we say, when Kyogo left.
Yeah.
I think that the Celtic support and maybe Brendan and the coaching staff were possibly expecting Adamida to step up a bit more. I think we've seen how good he can be probably last season. And he's maybe no stepped up to the mark since Kyogo's left, and I think Dyson's just come in and he's absolutely stepped up to that mark. He's made that position his own. And for anybody we were all questioning, should he be a winger, should he be a striker? I think his conversion rate's shown how much he's improved over the last number of months or year and a half. When we first seen that Dyson, his finishing and his shooting was maybe questionable at times. There was a few balls that went out of the stadium, shall we say. But you're looking at his he's massively improved that now. His conversion rate's very, very impressive. And for me, I think it's when we are playing our strongest side at present, Dyson Maeda has to play in that centre forward role.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just to touch on what you lads I think I've caught the tail end of what you were chatting about there, just as I was having those technical issues. I think Dyson Maeda, listen, there's no getting away from it. Dyson Maeda was a striker before we signed him. That's why Celtic went and got him. I personally, looking on it now and reflecting on it, I think now Dyson Maeda was played out wide to compensate for Kyogo. Now, everybody keeps saying, Kyogo's better. Dyson Maeda gets picked to play for Japan. Kyogo doesn't. Now, Kyogo, I read a statement today from Kyogo to say that he left Celtic, or he wanted to leave Celtic, because he was shunned by the Japanese international team.
Yeah, I think JP's having some issues again there, Alan. Yeah. I think what he's trying to make the point is, for him, Dyson Maeda is now starting to show what he's really capable of in all his glory, because we always knew he was a great presser, we always knew he made great runs in behind, but as you say, his finishing led a lot to be desired. But I think what you're now seeing is a guy who, he's 27 years of age, Maeda. He's working with a fantastic coach, somebody who on the training field is notorious for making players better. If you're hungry and you've got that desire to learn, matched with a great work ethic, which Dyson's clearly got, you're going to improve under Brendan Rodgers. And I think we're seeing that, Alan.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think that's been a massive kind of... that's the reason why, a massive reason why the Dyson Maeda has improved. It's because he's working under kind of an elite manager that we think in Brendan Rodgers. When you're looking at, as we said, he's finishing in the past, and I think I agree to a certain degree with JP says that Maeda was always a striker. He played with Japan, but Japan's
And
type of
Yokohama.
play, right, and their types of play are possibly different for the way that Celtic set up. And I think that's why Kyogo's probably the better. He was the better choice at the time. I think Dyson's developed his game since Brendan's been in, and you see how much improvement he's made. And I think when you look at Brendan's even seen that, he says, "Well, Kyogo left a number of times." He says, "We'll bring in another striker." My plan wouldn't be to play Dyson through the middle, but he can play there. So Brendan didn't want this, but Dyson has took that opportunity, grabbed it with both hands, and he's kicking on, and he's making himself kind of that position's his, and nobody's going to take it off him. So fair play to Maeda. He's come in and he's putting himself up there, kind of player of the season territory. We've all talked about kind of Nicholas Kuhn earlier, but for me, you're looking at Dyson Maeda, the way he's playing at the kind of business end of the season as well. And yeah, you wouldn't disagree if somebody says that Maeda is player of the season.
Yeah, he's definitely a contender, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that. But Baz, just touching on, obviously, we've been speaking about Maeda. If Andy, obviously, he's got other thoughts about Maeda, please let us know in the comments. What's your thoughts about Maeda? Do you think he's better off through the middle? Do you prefer him out wide? Baz, in terms of, obviously, Sunday's game, what kind of threats do you think this Hibs side will pose, and how do you think Celtic will set up differently from what they did at Easter Road?
I think confidence. I think that's what Hibs bring. They bring confidence, and obviously that winning feeling, and that's powerful things in football. Confidence and that winning feeling. So they bring that. They bring that feel good factor. I don't expect Celtic to set up any differently. I don't expect the idea, the philosophy behind how we play. I don't expect any of that to be different. The one thing I expect to be different from when we played them at Easter Road is the energy levels. I expect Celtic to be really at it and sort of Hibs half of the pitch. I would imagine we're going to see, especially those first 10, 15 minutes, I think Celtic are going to be really dangerous and probably create a number of chances early on in the game because they've got that loss in their mind. As I said, me and Alan were talking about it. The Celtic players' senses are going to be really sharp because of that defeat. Like I said, it's maybe the worst thing that could have happened for Hibs going into this game. So you put all that together, plus the fact they've had a week to prepare for this game, they've had proper rest and recovery, and the timing of training and rest would have been on point this week. You put all that together, and Celtic have got players in form at the moment, none more so than Dyson Maeda. So I think, looking at it objectively, it's too much for Hibs, in my opinion. It'll be too much. Celtic Park, the opportunity at a treble, a full week to prepare for the game, no injury concerns other than ones that we've been dealing with for a wee while. I think I listened to Brendan's presser. Liam Scales won't make the game, and Paolo Bernardo. But you would argue none of those boys are going to be in the first team anyway. So, no, my expectation going into this is to see Celtic put the pressure on Hibs, kind of overrun them, is how I see it. Celtic will just have too much power, too much speed, too much energy, too much will to win, and it'll be too much for Hibs on the day. That's what I expect to happen.
Yeah, Alan, obviously as Baz touches on about the power and the speed and the physicality, we've spoken here a number of times about that, mate. I think that's key going into the game on Sunday. I really do, especially with the team being rested for, as Baz says, as well, with the week. But it's interesting today, because obviously I seen today that Willie Collins came out again and yet again apologised for something else going wrong with VAR. When you look at that goal that should have been at Easter Road, Celtic, as it stands now, were denied a draw, at least, to the bare minimum, because the second Maeda goal of that day should have been a goal. And you hear quite clearly on the audio, Alan Muir being told at least 5 times that it's not conclusive, so we can't make that decision. What's your thoughts on that, Alan? Obviously, looking at that, because we're hoping that these things can be resolved through time, but I'm starting to lose a wee bit of patience with it, because you would think now, how long does it take to train people on the same things? It's the same issues that keep arising, and it's the same people that are making the mistakes.
We says directly after the game, and we says in the podcast after the game, that unless there was definitive evidence that ball was out, then how can you possibly go against the on-field decision? Unless you've got something, it's like you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
But why? Unless you've got definitive evidence here that ball was out, then the decision was already made. How can you overturn that decision without definitive evidence? Is it to do with the Scottish game really is no willing to kind of afford the technology to do so? You know that technology is available in the bigger leagues, whether that's England or Spain, etc. They've got kind of goal line technology and better camera views, etc. But the whole point of the matter is that unless you've got definitive evidence, then there's no way that you can turn that over. That the ball might have been out. We don't know that. There's no evidence to say it was out. There's no evidence to say it was in. It's only by eye. It's somebody's opinion. So it might have been out, it might have been in. But the matter of fact is that it was ruled that the ball was still in play on field, and the VAR has chosen to overrule that without any evidence. That's where the issue lies. Is this the first time this situation where kind of a goals came about with the ball seemingly out of play? I'm not sure. Not a lot come to mind like that, so I don't know if these rules will be kind of drilled into whoever's on VAR or the referees. But you can't overrule something when you've not got definitive evidence. That's the way it is. That's what we say directly after the game. And that's basically what Willie Collum's saying as well.
Yeah, Baz, obviously, what's your own thoughts regarding that information that came out today?
It's hard to accept. I find it hard to accept because my understanding is that if the referee makes a decision on the field, it stands. Yeah. That's what they go with, unless, as Alan rightly says, they have 100% concrete evidence that the decision was wrong. Now, for all the angles you saw with the goal at Hibs, some of them it looks as if the ball's in, some of them it looks as though it's out. There's one image in particular, it looks as though it's out. It looks to me as if the ball's out, but it's nowhere near 100% certain, nowhere near it. Mm-hmm. So you can't possibly change that. You cannot possibly change the on-field decision unless it's 100% cast iron, factual evidence. And they didn't have that. So he was incompetent in that VAR. That's not a mistake or an error. That's incompetent. He hasn't followed the rules. He hasn't followed the policies and the guidelines. Yeah. He's maybe been 95, 96% sure that ball was out, but that's not suitable. That can't stand. So if the evidence isn't there for you to go after the match and show your peers, show the people above you and say, this is why I made the decision. Here's 100% evidence-based why I made that change. You can't do it. And again, it doesn't matter if you personally feel strongly the ball's out. Well, nobody cares what you feel. Nobody cares what your eyes are telling you. We don't care. It needs to be 100% evidence, and they didn't have that. So the on-field decision should have stayed. I'll take you back to one I saw recently at Ibrox. Ingamani, he get a red card. and it went to VAR, and they overturned it. Now,
Yeah.
Again, that shouldn't have went to VAR, because the referee made an on-field decision. The video footage that we saw after it, there was no way that was 100% not a red card.
Clearing obvious errors that's supposed to.
That's the point I'm trying to get to, Alan. Right now, you might say to yourself, that's 80%, 90% of people would say that's a red. 80 or 90% of people. But that shouldn't. That's not good enough. It's meant to be clear and obvious. So that means 100%. And with the goal that Maeda scored, no way was there any images, any views on that showed conclusively that ball was out. So it was incompetent.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Because I find the whole thing very bizarre. Why they're even getting involved in the first place, first and foremost, because the on-field decision was already made. So.
Yeah.
Like that, you don't feel as bad now. See if that decision happened this Sunday coming. Right, that's when you'd feel bad. But because we've got that gap in the league, shall we say, you don't feel as bad. And hopefully that's rectified. Hopefully they've got to kick up the you know what, and stuff like that doesn't happen again, because I don't think that happens a lot of the time. They kind of go the line.
By the way, try telling the Celtic boys that you know that doesn't really matter, because they bust their backside to get back into that game in the second half.
No, obviously it matters, right? Always matters. Any game with Celtic matters, but I'm saying in comparison to this week's game, because we've this is a one-half game. If we go to that, we lost the treble. So if that was that kind of thing, that's how I'm saying that it'd be far worse. I would rather it happened a couple of weeks ago in comparison to happening this weekend. So hopefully it's all been sorted out. To be honest, right, I don't think the referees are good enough in this country, but I like what Willie Collum's kind of bringing to the game as well. He's putting these videos up, he putting explorations out. A lot of the time in the past, when referees made decisions, there wasn't anything said about it. Willie Collum's actively coming out and kind of addressing these matters. So I like that kind of honesty, but I think the be-all and end-all is we probably need a better standard of referee.
Yeah, I think, listen, that's another topic of conversation on its own, isn't it? The fact that, you know, these refs are not good enough. There is an up-and-coming batch. I quite like the boy Callum Scott. Baz, me and you've had a chat about him. He comes to decisions very quickly. He'll only go to VAR if he's really needed to go to VAR. He's thorough. The way his process is, he's positioned really well on the field to make decisions. I think
I think JP's internet's going again there, but
we had a chat after the game about it, and you know, so there is definitely referees, Baz, that are coming up. As Alan says, a lot of them aren't good enough, but there is a certain element of referees learning their trade and coming up who could potentially make a difference.
Well, who knows? I mean, who knows really how difficult it is to referee a game of football unless you've done it. I do remember watching a Sky Sports show, and it was Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, who both played at the highest level, both won Champions Leagues. You know, Gary Neville won a host of Premier Leagues, played under probably the greatest manager of all time, in Alex Ferguson. The pundits on shows right, left and centre, so these boys know their football. And they took part in a linesman kind of trial thing. So they were getting a shot at doing the linesman. So they simulate a kind of match experience. And Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher were tasked with doing the offsides on it. Mm-hmm. And the two of them, their results were absolutely hopeless. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe how badly they had got it. Like, you know, there was ones that were miles onside, they were calling it off. And equally, there was ones that were so well offside, they were calling it onside. So, and I know I'm only highlighting one area of refereeing, you know, the linesman's job, but
yeah. So
it's a difficult job. This thing we're talking about here, though, is totally different. So, with the VAR guidelines, to me, it seems a much clearer job than the actual referee on the pitch, because you've got the benefit of video footage, you've got the benefit of watching things over and over and over again. And ultimately, what we're trying to get to is VAR only interfere when it's clear and obvious. And if it's no clear and obvious, I would just like them to stay the hell out and let the referee do the job on the pitch. With offsides, I think we all agree they've pretty much got that down to as near as perfect as they can. They seem to be doing a good job with the offsides, right? It's all these other types of decisions that are going to VAR when they don't really need to, but it's like anything. I don't know that comment coming in there, it's not fit for purpose in Scotland, but I still think it's better to have it than not have it.
It's fit for purpose if it's operated correctly. I think that's the point. The people that are operating it aren't fit for purpose. I think that's probably...
They're the problem. It's not the actual VAR. VAR's not... The technology's not the issue.
Yeah. So it's the personnel behind it that's no... Whether that be they're no... They don't know the rules properly. I know there's been a number of different changes in rules regarding handballs, and the one with the kind of byline, I don't know how else that maybe that's no happened before. I don't know how to excuse that. Maybe they've not been in that situation before. I don't know. I'm trying to think it in the most positive manner possible, but as Barry said a number of times, if the evidence is there,
that's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah. 100%. Obviously, looking at that game, Baz, in a whole at Easter Road, Celtic fought back, and essentially we should have walked out there with at least a 2-2 draw. When Celtic played a lot faster, played quicker, got the players on that could do a bit of damage, Hibs seemed to... They kind of panicked in a way, mate, that I've no saw for this run of games they've been on. They certainly panicked, and obviously Celtic have the quality to really open them up and do a bit of damage, mate.
Yeah, I thought in the second half we were excellent, really, bar maybe the first 5-10 minutes, but the second half was pretty much Celtic on the front foot. But you know me, JP, I always like to bring context into things regarding Celtic, and the context of that game was we played a knockout game in the Champions League over in Munich, 3 or 4 days before that match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you think about the outpouring of energy, physicality, then the emotional hangover because of the way we lost that game, and then having to get yourself going again for an away game against a team who were really up for it and poured a lot of energy on top of us. So, and they got an early goal as well, which helped. So I think putting context onto that, it's like I'm with Alan. It's never okay to lose a game when you're a Celtic fan. I would never excuse a game and just write it off. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it's understandable that was a performance where we dropped and we weren't at our best. But I think it's going to be a totally different game on Sunday. There's no way Hibs get momentum the way they did in that game. There's no way they get the territory that they got. There's no way they get the time on the ball that they got. And that was a thing on reflection, watching that game again. In the first half in particular, Hibs were afforded a lot of time on the ball. And that's just down to energy. The players just didn't have those kind of resources to go hell for leather. But they'll go hell for leather on Sunday, mate.
I think it was changing that game, Barry, that obviously the 3 players that did the start against Bayern Munich were hit to half time, and they were the ones that you could maybe consider had more energy than the guys that had played the majority of the game against Bayern Munich. And then we ended the game better with the team that started that was supposedly tired against Bayern Munich. It was changed. It's just one of these things that obviously physically and mentally that game against Bayern Munich would have been very difficult for the players to handle. So I agree with you. It'll be a different game at Celtic Park. I think we will play our stronger side. We'll get the home support behind us, and I think Brendan will be drumming into the players that there's no room for complacency, especially in one-off games like a Scottish Cup quarter-final.
I just want to name off some of Hibs' results here as well, and obviously and give some of the Celtic fans a view to what we're potentially up against. So I'll go back to the 18th of January. and this is kind of when this wee kind of run that they're on started for them. So they beat Clydebank 3-0 in the Scottish Cup. They then drew 1 each with Ross County. They beat Aberdeen 2-0. They then beat Ayr 1-0 in the Cup. They drew 0 each away to St Mirren. They then beat us. They followed that up by beating Dundee United. And they've just won the Edinburgh Derby. So I think you're right, Baz, in terms of a team, you're a team that are hungry and, you've got to give them huge credit. I mean, they were sitting bottom of the league at one point this season.
Yeah.
And for weeks, I think it was the first 4 weeks of the season, it was between them and Hearts to see who was going to be sitting bottom by the end of the game. So both clubs have now managed to climb away for that now. But Hibs have been on, I mean, to go for bottom of the table, mate, to get themselves sitting and leapfrog a team in Aberdeen that started the season unbelievably. You've got to give them huge credit, mate, and just, and say, right, that I know Brendan mentioned today that we're going to have a tough game, but I love the way he flipped it also and says, I also expect Hibs to have a very tough game as well.
Well, he complimented David Gray, didn't he? And he complimented Hibs for sticking with him. And he sort of was trying to show the point that if teams stick by managers, they could come good. So maybe Rangers should have stuck with Philippe Clement after all. You just never know. But no, there's no denying. No, they've got a kind of similar guy in the job now. But anyway,
I think they've got a history kind of getting rid of managers too quickly as well. You look at Higginbottom, Maloney, Stubbs. Aye, so
by the way,
John Collins.
Hold on, guys. They actually never sacked Alan Stubbs. Alan Stubbs left to go to Rotherham.
All right, okay.
He won the Scottish Cup with him, and then he decided to move on. The Hibs didn't sack him. I think a lot of people think Big Stubbs will get a bullet, but he didn't.
I think what I can remember, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think there was a contract offer on the table.
No, I think you're right, Alan. I think you're right.
And I think that's what Stubbs has thought. If they didn't want me before I won that, then I'm going elsewhere. Don't quote me on that, but I can vaguely remember that was. I think there was something similar to that. But I think David Gray, fair play to him for the kind of results that JP says, Barry. He's stepped up to the mark as kind of Hearts have done. They've had kind of dreadful starts to the season, and we've seen they're a very well organised side, and they're no scared to attack. I don't know how they'll set up tomorrow, Sunday at Celtic Park. It'll probably be slightly more defensive, you'd say, but definitely we played them at Easter Road. They had a go at times, and I know that goal should have stood, but when you look at the whole game, did Hibs deserve to lose that game? When you watch that, I'm not so sure. Maybe a draw would have been a fair result. It was a kind of game of two halves, but
I agree.
Hibs maybe have been hard done by if they'd picked up nothing for that game, I think.
Well, we certainly were robbed out the draw. That's for sure, in my opinion.
Aye.
Whatever way, I mean, people might be looking in this for the other side and going, up big guys get sour grapes there and whatever, but if you watch the game back and you hear what's went on the day, WILLIE COLLUM out saying sorry again and more or less apologising for, a VAR check that, didn't need to happen. So, that was 2 weeks.
Context of the game, do you guys think, what do you think, when you take that whole game into context, do you think Celtic deserved to win that game?
No, I think
probably no, but I do think there would have been an element of chance, Alan, that if that second goal goes in when it does, and it's a goal, I think Celtic then go on and maybe nick a winner, mate, with that 8 minutes or 9 minutes it was at the end, because I think the goal getting chopped off deflated some of them.
That could well be, or we don't know, we can't kind of see into the future, so it could have changed, and then Hibs could have went on and scored, we'll never know. But I think in future, obviously, we need to make the VAR, make the decisions correctly, because they shouldn't be getting involved and interfering if they can't have kind of evidence, concrete evidence that's definitive. And I think that's all we need to say in the matter. That's the way it should be, black and white like that. Yeah,
100%. But it's obviously touching on us now. That's what we all love, and more importantly, obviously you've mentioned earlier that Celtic have had a full week now to prepare for the game on Sunday. How do you see Celtic approaching Sunday's game?
I think the marked difference will be energy. That's where you see the difference, really. I think the players will come out the traps, as I said earlier in the pod, fast, hungry. I think our pressing will be as good as we've been all season, because this is a knockout game. It is the kind of last leg of a treble that the players are going for, and Brendan will definitely be reminding them of that in the dressing room. So that's what I expect to see. That's what I think will happen. As again, I go back to it. Hibs beating us when they did could possibly be the worst thing that could have happened for them in terms of this game, because the players will remember that. It's fresh in the memories, but it also means they're aware. So complacency, we talk about that a lot with Celtic, because we do come up against teams week in, week out that we should be beaten on paper anyway. Mm-hmm. So I don't see complacency being an issue here for the players. Certainly is never an issue, I don't believe, for Brendan. But I think it can creep into players a wee bit. I don't see that happening in this game because of the result a few weeks back. So that's what I think will happen. I think the players will be really looking forward to this game, because they've had a full week to prepare for it. And again, they've had a loss against this team. They know there's a trophy at stake. They know that winning this game takes them back to Hampden. So I just think you put everything in together. I mean, you can never predict a game. You can never get too carried away with yourself and your expectations. But if I was looking at it and being honest, I do see Celtic putting on a strong performance. I see Celtic just having far too much for Hibs. I don't think they'll be able to contain their press. I think if they do try and play around it, they're going to make mistakes. We've got a guy in Dyson Maeda who's red hot right now. And I just think all that put in together, it's a perfect cocktail for Celtic to go and win this game quite comprehensively, I feel.
Yeah, Alan, as Baz says, mate, there was a team earlier on the season that came to Celtic Park, scored 2 goals against us, nicked a draw, and were as high as a kite, came to Hampden and got absolutely demolished. And for me, that was a game that killed Aberdeen's season. So, as Baz was touching on there, Hibs already beaten us now. I reckon our players are going to have a wee bit more fire in their belly now, get into this cup game, and I wouldn't be surprised if Celtic done a number on them.
Aye, it's a one-off cup game. What matters is the kind of result, but I do think we will put in a performance. I think it'll be different for the away game at Easter Road. I think there'll be different personnel who started that game, and I think that'll be a domino effect which will increase the energy and the intensity at the level we're playing. I think you see massive differences when you play kind of Dyson up front and how much they're pressing in comparison to maybe Ida, etc. So yeah, I see a different style of game, a different type of game, and I think it will be especially like that because we're playing at home, we're playing at Celtic Park. I think we will dominate possession as we usually do. I think Hibs will still have a slight go. I think they still will set up. You've obviously got Martin Boyle and their attack, who's always dangerous, always fast, always dangerous in the break. But I don't think they'll be as attacking as they were at Easter Road. I think we will win. We should win. Yeah, I think we'll win with a couple of goals, and I'd like to see a decent performance. We have had kind of that week's rest now, so the players they'll be kind of tip-top shape where they need to be in comparison to maybe the last time we played them when we were just coming off a kind of playing against one of Europe's elite.
Yeah, I think this time around we'll be in a much better place. I think, as you lads have mentioned now, that we've had all week to train for this. Brendan's probably worked on a few things as well. I know he mentioned in today's presser, to be able to have to work on the defensive side of things, in terms of the defence, doing a bit of work together and working on some things that maybe we've not looked as sharp in defence over the last period of time. And in saying that, we still have conceded the least goals this season. I think Casper Schmeichel, he was on the overlap, and I heard him talking about the Golden Glove, but he was going for the clean sheet record, and he nearly got it until Aberdeen scored again against us just there, because he's like, Aberdeen are the only team to score against us at Celtic Park this season. They scored too early in the season, and then they've just scored again. And Roy Keane and that were having a go at him and saying, "Boys, did you get beat at the near post?" I think they'd had a laugh about this previously. And he's like, "Yeah, it was." And they had a laugh about it. And obviously, he's like, "I actually went under my legs." So, but it was interesting because he must have done that podcast the day after the Aberdeen game when we beat them 5-1. Because I think Gary Neville said something to him. They went, "No, the game was last night." So, yeah, as I said, it's we just need to turn up and give ourselves an opportunity, like you guys say, play the right team, boys, and we're always going to win me a shout, mate, of really doing a bit of damage.
Yeah, well, home advantage as well. So at this stage in the competition, it's the last game before you go to Hampden. If you could pick one thing, it would be that. You would want to be at home. So I think the fans will be hungry as well. You know, a full week without football. They'll be looking forward to going to Celtic Park, and it's an extra day wait as well on the Sunday. Good kick-off time, regular kick-off time. So I expect the stadium. Added into that, you've got 7,000 Hibs fans going there. I think the atmosphere is going to be a proper cup tie atmosphere. But I picked up on that as well in Brendan's presser, how he was talking about the defending and making some kind of adjustments there. And of course, when Brendan talks about defending, he's not just talking about the back four, he's talking about the full team. And I think Alan's spot on. I think that's where, at this moment in time, not only Dyson Maeda's goal return, but his ability to press gives him a huge advantage over Adam Ida as well. He's obviously a defender's nightmare. So,
no way, boys. Sorry to interrupt. The Hearts game's on now, right? And Dundee have just equalised, and it's similar to see the Hibs goal. The ball outs on the line before the cross comes in.
Wow.
And they're looking
Is
at
it?
it now.
You were just saying on the pod too. You were just saying, like, I've not saw any other incidents.
Thanks for that, Andy Gray.
They've given the goal, but I don't know. I need to see the replay. Just to see
Alan,
sorry to interrupt.
No, you're going to need to get the wee yellow bar.
What's happening at the Hearts game, Chris Kamara?
That's one each.
No, you're some man.
I don't know, Jeff.
You're some man, Chris.
I don't know, Jeff. I've just seen him going off.
I know.
Aye. You make a permy pen and right across your screen. Breaking news.
I think the goal has stood. Joe Shaw's got the goal.
Stood.
They've learned a lesson for the Celtic game. Obviously, it's not been conclusive.
I'd like to see another view to see, but in first view it looked as if it was similar to the way Alistair Johnston was, that it was possibly, but in the route I don't know. But I'd like to see another replay to be sure before, so don't quote me. So
thanks for that.
See, you got all your Scottish football needs met on this podcast.
Aye. Definitely. Anything we can do to keep you in the know.
That's it. We're just always thinking about our viewers, you know.
Is there VAR in the game tonight at Hearts and Dundee? Is there any VAR? Because there's not been VAR at a number of games this season.
I'm sure any club that's playing in the Premier League that plays in the Cup, they use VAR. Pretty sure. Right.
James Kennedy says Alan Muir is not on VAR tonight, which is why it didn't go to VAR.
Surprise, yeah.
Mr. Muir, the lines are out for you, Mr. Muir, if you're watching. The lines are out. You owe everybody represented by Celtic a big apology. We want it in writing. The last time you tried to write it was a pamphlet. the back of a fag packet to try to write a letter to Celtic, don't he, saying I'm sorry.
With a crane.
He's the only guy I know that's been barred 6 times for Celtic and still gets to referee games. Scary. Right, obviously we're coming to that point now, Baz, where I'm going to ask you for your team prediction for Sunday.
Straightforward for me, mate. I think Brendan will pick his informed players. He won't try and be too clever, and he won't rock the boat, so to speak. It'll be Schmeichel, AJ, CCV, Trusty, Schlupp, who, by the way, I called it when he first signed. I've always supported Greg Taylor. I'm a big fan of Greg Taylor, but I knew the minute we signed Schlupp that Greg Taylor's game time would be limited. It'll be Callum McGregor, Engels and Rio Hatate, and then it'll be Kunit on the right. Dyson will play through the middle, probably bag himself a few goals as well, and Jota will play for the left.
Alan?
It's that same. Yeah, but I don't think we can take any risks regarding this game. It's a one-off game. We need to make sure we're in that hat for the next round of the Cup. I know a lot of possibly the Yang gang will be saying after 2 games that he's played well, he should be maybe getting in, but no for me. If he keeps coming off the bench and kind of contributing, then fair play to him. But yeah, that's what at present that's definitely our strongest 11, and I think the majority of the games that we play for the rest of the season, I think Brendan has to go with that because that's by far the best quality we have. So I think we'll go with the exact same team, and I'll say 3-0 victory.
Okay. Baz, you want to give a prediction?
Well, I'm feeling really optimistic. I'll go for 4.
4-0?
Yep.
Okay. That's fine. I'll say the exact same team, obviously, as you two lads. Although, this is food for thought. They do say that the players that normally do the pressers are normally the ones that are going to start. And Luke McCown done a presser earlier. Do you think there's any way possible for Luke McCown to start Sunday's game, Baz?
No, I don't see it. I don't see it, mate. No. Like I said, that 11 that we've all unanimously agreed there are the informed players. They're the players who have played the majority of the games. They're the players that have delivered. They're the players that deserve to play as well, which is an important thing. And yeah, I think that 11's our strongest 11 at this moment in time anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of flinging a wee curveball in there just to find out your thoughts on that, because obviously he done the presser earlier, so that's why I was asking.
Sometimes was it a couple of weeks ago? Somebody Taylor started and Jeffrey Schlupp done the press conference, and I said, "Oh, Jeffrey Schlupp," but it didn't happen that way. So I think it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes in the past it has been like that, but I can't see Brendan kind of different for that strongest 11. I think that's by far. You've seen maybe it wasn't just their fault that our players were tired and maybe slightly off it, but you've seen that the last game when we made a few changes against Hibs that it didn't really work out the best. So I think this is a maybe kind of monumental importance. We can't have any slip-ups in this game, being a cup game. So I think we go full strength, and I think the team that we have named is full strength.
Can I make a wee point? How seamless has it been for Jota coming back to the club? I mean, we've all gave our starting 11 for this game, and everyone is have got Jota in the team. Now, for all, there was a lot of concern in January when Kyogo left the club. By the way, and let's not forget, Kyogo wanted to leave the club.
Jumping off the Kingston Bridge.
There was panic. Now, Kyogo left the club. Kyogo had asked to leave the club. You know, Celtic didn't want to let him go. Brendan himself said didn't want Kyogo to go. The boy asked to leave, right? But, in my opinion, this Celtic team that we've all just agreed on tomorrow, as much as I was a massive fan of Kyogo and I'll never forget his contribution, to me, this current Celtic team is stronger than what it was earlier in the season. And that's not a reflection on Kyogo as a player, I don't mean that, but the dynamics of that front three, for me at this moment in time, is better than what we've had kind of pre-January. That's my view on it. So I'll put the question to you. Is that how you see it? Do you think Jota coming into the team, Dyson more central, are Celtic stronger for that?
Yeah, I'll answer that very quickly. Yes, 100%. I don't think we've missed Kyogo at all. I actually think, and I said this to my dad speaking as well, I think we've got better since he's left.
I agree.
Now I don't know if that's down to mindset of some of the players. I don't know if that's in the background they've known he's wanted away. Maybe the wee man's not been in the right mental state to be trying to play and try to do. But for some time, Baz, and I've even said it on here, mate, I think Brendan has had to play Kyogo due to his new agency. I think Brendan's had to kind of pander in a way to get Kyogo on the team, to get him in the shop window. Because for some time we've known now that Kyogo's wanted away. So I think it's been a case of he needs to play because he needs to be in the shop window because he's going to be leaving in the next window, which was January there. Now, none of us are privy to any of that. But looking in now, I can see that being a distinctive possibility. But to answer your question fully, mate, I 100% agree that Celtic are now better. Yes, 100%.
And just before it goes to Alan and Jota himself individually, are you happy with how well Jota's integrated into the team?
1,000,000%, mate. He offers us much more in terms of more dynamic. He offers a level of pace. If people are saying he's no fit now, then by God, he'll be in for a treat when he gets fit, and people are in soapy bubble, as it's called in the football term, because once the wee man's up and running in full pelt, pity help the rest of Scottish football. Alan, obviously yourself, mate.
I think quality-wise, we're roughly the same. It's a totally different dynamic that we've got up front now in comparison to what Kyogo offered. I think Jota obviously improves the team, but where I think we've went amiss is maybe the squad's taking a dip in the quality-wise when we've lost a striker, maybe not replaced them. But they're performing just as well as the kind of front three, which included Kyogo. Do I see a massive difference in the output? Not necessarily. I think there will be similar levels of kind of quality and output. But it's hard to judge that one because it is a completely different way that they're playing with Maida through the middle. I think he is a completely different player for Kyogo. And then
he's a lot faster, Alan, isn't he?
Aye, but Kyogo's probably a better finisher when you look at his movements, possibly better. But Maida's done fantastically well. And then you're looking at, obviously we've replaced Maida in the wing with Jota in the wing. Jota in the wing, the day burst into song there.
And also was that.
So you've replaced with, you've put in Jota instead of Maida, and that's again a totally different dynamic, totally different type of player.
That's
a more skillful player rather than kind of just a fast attacking player. Jota's no slow by any means, but his effectiveness comes from his skill, comes with beating a man, etc. So it's hard to judge. Totally different dynamic, the way we're kind of playing in that front three. But I wouldn't say it's any worse. But I think it's early days to say if it's any better just now. I think it's just different to judge in a different way of playing.
I think, Alan, what's a biggie for me, mate, is the actual goal return that's came since Kyogo's left.
Jesus.
And the,
JP.
Yeah, as I say.
You get more breaking news.
Just seen it, more breaking news for the show. Stevie has he's donated £30, and this is for your work, lads, because the frame sign top is awesome. Hail, hail, Stevie. Listen,
top man, Stevie.
You are a man. You are a man, as they say, and that's the term. Thank you very much, Stevie. Honestly, fully appreciate it, mate, and I'm glad that you've managed to go and get the top, and obviously you're happy with it as well. So, aye, well done again for winning the prize. I've just seen that there now, yeah. Cheers for that. Chris Kamara, correspondence there live at Tynecastle. Has there been any changes yet?
I don't know, but Whitehall Welfare are beating Bo'ness 4-0. It's like the same week, so I'm just joking.
Oh dear.
Poor Bo'ness. They were on a good run of form, I
know. They're still striker.
Aye.
I did
have a message earlier from Anjem. Anjem messaged the channel earlier in the comments. Baz, because I think I mentioned about Kyogo wanting to move due to obviously not getting picked for Japan, he thinks playing here might have been a contributing factor. And Anjem says, do you think it's Kyogo's age it's getting to do with that now as well? Obviously, with the time he's 30, you think obviously he still has aspirations to play with Japan. Because he's age, he's tried to move, but he's hardly kicked a ball, but he's tried to move to a league where he thinks he might get more recognition.
I just think players like variety, like the rest of us. You wouldn't want to eat the same meal every day. So I just think, like,
hold on
at Celtic.
Hold on. It depends what the dinner is. Come on, it depends what it is, man. You could. See if it's a cheese toasty, Buzz. If it's a cheese toasty, mate, I can have that every day.
You think? I don't know. That's what I think. As much as the move maybe help him get in the Japan team, I think Kyogo's been at Celtic a few years. He's won everything. He's played in Champions League. He's scored important goals. He's had that great rapport with fans. It's a shelf life for some players. So yeah. I just think that probably a number of factors and the timing. Well, that as well, mate.
His last big chance at a contract, big league, so he'll be trying to provide for whoever family he's got, etc. Because he'll be not retired soon, but you're retired a long time in football. So if you're getting that last kind of big money move, and you're probably thinking he'll may possibly double his wages going to a big league at France, you think possibly. So
he's not many a big team though.
They've got more money, it's probably the teams. It might not be a big team, kind of name-wise. It might not be a big team in terms of kind of winning stuff, but these teams are all kind of well-financed due to the kind of TV deals that they're getting, etc.
Yeah, but Baz, do you think that Kyogo, he's only signed a 2-year deal with him, so do you think, obviously, the wee man must have aspirations then to go back to Japan before he finishes totally?
I think if you were thinking about it, that probably naturally is the kind of full cycle for him, isn't it? He'll want to finish his career in his homeland, like most players do. Most players have got a club that they grew up supporting, and in an ideal world, you map out your career, that's probably where you would end up. I'm disappointed that Kyogo has failed to have an impact at Rennes so far. Right, so far, I need to caveat it by saying that it's not been a good move for him at all so far. But yeah, I think
sounds like somebody's put Strictly Come Dancing's DVD on or something on their tap dancing, isn't it?
Planet of the Dog.
Trying to escape.
I think it's a good move all round.
Kyogo's unbalanced. Kyogo's unbalanced. He's trying to get it quick. What was I talking about?
It's a move that suited everybody, in my opinion. And Alan was talking on the differences between Maeda and Kyogo centrally and highlighting that Kyogo's a better finisher, which, by the way, is true. I'm not disputing that. But what I would dispute is Kyogo's finishing this season. He's not been on point this season. He missed a lot more chances than I've ever seen him miss. So whether that's to do with his heart not quite being in it, maybe he's distracted with getting a move elsewhere, who knows. But also in defence of Maeda this season, Barry did the dog eat the cat. Keep them coming, guys. Keep them coming. Maeda's finishing's been excellent.
The two of them, I know.
Maeda's finishing's been excellent this season. His runs as well as a centre forward. I don't mean he's got the runs, by the way. His runs as a centre forward have been excellent, and he's just improving all the time. So essentially, in January with Kyogo leaving, we changed 2 positions. So Kyogo came to the team. It was a new striker that came in, whether it was either or Maeda, and obviously Jota went out to the left. So you had a front 3 that, 2 of the 3 were changed. But, as I said, I brought the point up, I think Celtic look better for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think, obviously, bringing in Jota and selling Kyogo for 10 million, I think that's got to be one of the best deals of the century.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal
do.
business.
It's frightening. And then the contracts are chasing that you've gave Jota, the length of contract as well. And one of them I think will be, I think I mentioned it to you, Alan, as well the other day when we were chatting. He'll have said to Brendan, are you staying? Because you've said numerous times now in interviews when I wasn't here that you wanted to work with me and your only regret was that you never got a chance to. But now that I'm coming here, are you going to be here? Because if you're not going to be here, I'm not signing that long deal. Jota's not signing a long deal this time, guys, to only serve maybe a year of that and go, bye-bye Celtic, I'm away somewhere else now. Because the grass isn't green, and it's not been greener for him on the other side. So I think this time he's going to bide his time, he's going to wait. Not saying he's going to beat Celtic forever, that's not what I mean. He will move on again, but he'll move on when the timing is right. And it's got to be right this time, because the last time, whether we want to accept it or not, he left because of the lucrative money that he was going to be getting over in Saudi Arabia. But this time, I don't think he'll be listening too much to his advisors, because I think he's be emotional bit, Alan, at Motherwell when he scores a goal and he starts crying and everything just involved in that particular moment, mate. I think Jota maybe realises now he's back where he actually can thrive and really enjoy his football again.
Yeah, no, I think the latter part of your point there, that the emotion that coming back to Celtic, you felt that this is probably the place that he felt like it was home. He felt comfortable, he felt loved, he felt as if he was appreciated. And he spent a year and a half or so away from that, and it's been the polar opposite for that. So I don't know how much the manager staying would be a point in that. I think possibly Jota just wanted to come to a place that is appreciated, wanted to come to a place that he knows, whether that be kind of Brendan Rodgers or Ange Postecoglou. He's had that such a hard time, but coming back to Celtic is going to bring that smile back to his game. He is going to start enjoying his football again, because by the sounds of it, what we've seen, he hasn't enjoyed since he kind of left Celtic with spells over in Saudi and the short spell in France as well. So I think bringing Jota back, yeah, it's a great bit of business. We'll definitely still need a striker that we needed in January, but we can address that in the summer now. But yeah, it's definitely positive to have a happy Jota playing for Celtic.
See, just on that, JP, if you don't mind me jumping in, I'm not certain Celtic will be looking for a striker in the summer.
Friday, mate.
I'm not so sure.
On Friday.
I'm not so sure, because if Maeda continues to perform the way he's performing and scores the goals, and obviously Adam Ida playing his part in that as well, you've got your 2 strikers there. I think Brendan would maybe look to sign another winger. Is how I would possibly be looking at that. It just depends on whether Maeda continues that form towards the end of the season, and whether Brendan feels strongly that is Maeda's best position now. Because if that's the case, and Brendan sees Maeda as being Celtic's number 1 striker and Adam Ida being the number 2 striker, it would be a wide player you'd be looking for. You'd be looking for somebody to complement Jota and Kuhn. Because as much as Yang's definitely come onto a game, and listen,
just about to say that there. I was just about to
listen,
say that.
I know, and I'm optimistic about that.
Consistent enough to rely on him as of yet.
But I think Brendan would look to possibly bring in another wide player and have Maeda and Ida as his 2 strikers.
Yeah, potentially. But I know what you're saying there, Alan, right? But in terms of reliability, mate, I think Yang for some time now has shown Brendan he can be relied on. Because like I said to you earlier on, there's a long list of players that Brendan moved on. No, he has, mate. But listen, Callum McGregor's been poor in games as well, so he's not the only one that's been, you know, he's been poor in. There's been players came in the club that've been poor, but you know the Camden Carter-Vickers not so long ago scored a blatant own goal in the Champions League.
But
that
these
was poor
players,
in that
the majority
moment,
of the time, they're playing great, right? Cal McGregor, Carter-Vickers, majority of the time they're playing great.
I get you.
The majority of Yang's time, he's played awful.
I get you. But what I'm getting at here with this point is Brendan has got rid of guys that he thinks he can't rely on. But the one that he's kept about the place has been Yang. And he worked with him.
I think Brendan's got rid of players he didn't think he could improve. He didn't think there was a future for these boys. I think he believes he can improve Yang. The evidence shows he has. And I think based on that, it's So I'm sort of in the middle of this one. I think I feel good about Yang's recent performances. I feel optimistic. I think the evidence is there that Brendan believes there's something that can be cultivated with Yang. But I'm a long way away from saying Yang's a Celtic player.
Here's another one, guys, just before we finish up. There's another wee point here by Edward Driver in the comments. He says it's a huge mistake getting rid of Iwata. I'm going to say, Edward, I've got to disagree with that, mate, because if you look at the way our midfield's played this season, mate, and some of the big moments that they've gave us, they've already won a cup. We've no missed Timoki Iwata. I understand what people's views are there, Baz, because obviously he goes to Birmingham and he starts playing well, but
it's in League One.
I'm a great believer. Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm a great believer in certain players find their level at different clubs, you know. And I think Timoki Iwata is. But so did
that's all he ever was, though.
I know.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. He was just okay.
He was never going to be a regular starter for them.
No.
He's always come on and done a job for you, so I wouldn't say it bad about him. Whether we miss him, I doubt that either. He was kind of just somewhere in between that. He's reliable, do a job for you. Anything massively special, I'm not so sure. He scored a couple of screamers down there, but as you say, it's Birmingham in League One. But it was a good player for Celtic. Don't think we'll miss him, but he always did a job, and I wouldn't say a bad word about him, really.
Yeah,
and obviously Chris Davis gets a favour off his former gaffer, didn't he? Obviously Brendan giving him Timoki Iwata to give him a handout when he was in the midst of trying to rebuild his squad for the season. But that's all we've got time for tonight, folks. I want to say a massive thanks to the lads for coming on and having a chat with me. Baz, it's been good to get you back on, mate.
Pleasure.
Well, thank you,
Alan, same to yourself. Obviously, you're getting geared up to jet off to hopefully sunny Tenerife.
Aye, off to Tenerife on Sunday, so...
You sound really excited, Alan.
No, but I'm arriving there first with my partner, and Ryan's arriving next week, so hopefully we'll have a few videos for the boys in the sun. I think we've had a few videos for Tenerife before, so hopefully we get a wee bit of content out for a bit of sunshine over there. But yeah, thanks lads, massively looking forward to it, and it'll be good to get a wee break away, and the Celtic Rangers game over there, and St Paddy's Day, which is going to be epic.
Magic. Brilliant.
Sounds a business.
Have a good time, mate.
But folks, as I said, that's all we've got time for. Hope you've enjoyed tonight's chat. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like and subscribe. We're indebted to you forever. And it's been it'll be for a great cause. Obviously, it helps the channel, it helps the lads to bring content to you guys. Like Alan says, they're over in Tenerife. So if you want to tune into more, please hit the like and subscribe. You'll get a wee notification when the channel does go live. I'll be back Monday night. I think Ryan's joining me for the dial-in. And hopefully we can get some Celtic fans on for a chat. Hopefully we're all smiling regarding the result coming Sunday. And Celtic, like Baz says earlier in this tonight's show, are heading back to Hampden again. But for the time being, folks, hail, take care. And we will see you all again this coming Monday.
Well.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, lads. Bye-bye.